Today we are going to study characteristics of services. Characteristics of services. There is a difference between goods and services. So goods are mostly tangible and services are intangible. There are some other characteristics also that we are going to study. So there is a difference between goods and services. The basic difference is good is tangible and services are intangible. Distinctive characteristics result in challenges. So as services are intangible, so there are challenges how to sell those services, how to convince the customer to purchase those services. Sometimes these differences can be used as advantages by the manager. So if the manager is skillful, he can use the intangibility of the services as an advantage. It is also important to realize that each of these characteristics could be arranged in continuum similar to tangibility spectrum. So every characteristic uh, that we have in the last lecture we have seen tangibility spectrum where salt is almost 80 to 90% tangible, and if you see the investment services, insurance services, teaching services, counseling services, consulting services, they are 80 to 90% intangible. And if you take the restaurant, it is almost 50% tangible, 50% intangible. So like that, every characteristics that we are going to check today, that is heterogeneity, then simultaneous consumption, then perishability. So these characteristics can be mapped like a tangibility spectrum. That is, services tend to be more heterogeneous, more intangible, and more difficult to evaluate than goods. But the difference between goods and services are not black and white by any means. So, services are heterogeneous, services are intangible, they are difficult to evaluate, and these differences are not always black and white. That means you cannot say that uh, you cannot say concretely or clearly regarding the services. The difference between goods and services. So how services are different? Goods are tangible, services are intangible, and resulting implications are like services cannot be inventories. As these are intangible, you cannot store them. Services cannot be easily patented. So you cannot patent easily. If you have a particular haircut, you cannot say that I have a uh, uh, if you are using particular haircut, if you are a owner of this saloon and if you have discovered particular type of haircut, you will not get a patent for that. So that service can be easily copied by others. So if you are selling a particular type of tea, or if you have a particular type of franchise for selling a tea, so you cannot say that I'll patent this type of services. Services cannot be patented. Anybody can copy your service and start selling those services. Services cannot be easily displayed or communicated. So how you are going to showcase or display the insurance services or the investment services or softwares that you are going to sell. So services cannot be easily displayed or communicated. Pricing is difficult, and it is very difficult to tell the customer if you are pricing high for your services. Standardization is possible in terms of goods, and heterogeneity, that is standardization is not possible in case of services. Service delivery and customer satisfaction depend on employee and customer action. Service delivery and customer satisfaction depend on uh, employee and customer action. So at the time of service delivery, it is the employee's performance and customers involvement. These are the things that matter. Service quality depends on many uncontrollable factors. So quality of the services are depend on many factors that we are going to study later. It is people, it is this employee, it is the advertisement that we are going to promise, it is the customers involvement. Lot of factors are there. There is a no sure knowledge that the service delivered matches what was planned and promoted. So some person may feel that that service is good, some person may feel that that service is particularly bad. So there is no sure measurement that particular service has been properly delivered or not. Production separate from the consumption in case of goods. So in case of automobile, we produce and then we bring those cars or two wheelers to the showroom, and then from there we can sell and people do purchase. But it is not the case in terms of services. Services are simultaneously produced and consumed. Customer participate in and affect the transaction. Customer participate in and affect the transaction. So customers involvement or and participation is important. When we go to the doctor, we also participate, that we inform him what are the signs and symptoms. Similarly, when you go to purchase insurance, you have to tell them what is your requirement. If you go for the investment advice, you have to tell them what are your requirement. Then only the person who is delivering services will provide you service. When you go to saloon, you have to tell them that what kind of haircut you want. Then they will perform the action. Customers affect each other. So good word of mouth publicity do affect in case of services, because services are intangible. Employees affect the service outcome. So the performance of the employee always affect. In the morning, suppose that employee is active, energetic, enthusiastic, so performance will be good. But at the end of the day, that employee may not be energetic, enthusiastic, so performance may not be good. Decentralization may be essential. So the from the headquarter you cannot able to provide the services. You have to open the outlets, and you have to make it decentralized. Mass production is difficult, like we in the factory we produce lot of smartphones, like that services cannot be produced in a factory. Non-perishable and perishable goods are non-perishable and services are perishable. Suppose you take the example of airline services. Once the flight is off, uh, suppose the flight timing is 12 o'clock, and after 12 o'clock, after 1 o'clock, even after 12 o'clock, if the flight starts, even if the that particular air flight, that plane is 50% vacant, that 50% vacancies cannot be utilized. So that is the nature of the services, that these are perishable. It is difficult to synchronize supply and demand with the service. Services cannot be returned or resold. So again, once the flight is took off, then you cannot resold those tickets. Services for any given time period cannot be sold or delivered at a later date. Services for any given time period cannot be sold or delivered at later date. So we cannot say that we can sell, if today is 25th of January, we cannot sell the airline tickets of 25th January on 27th January. Recently, it has been suggested that these distinctive characteristics should not be viewed as a unique to the services, but that they are also relevant to goods, that all products are services, and that economic exchange is fundamentally about service provision. So if you see all the products are also having some or the some percentage or the other percentage of services character. Other goods, other products are also having intangibility, heterogeneity, simultaneous production and consumption, and perishability to some extent. It's not like it's 100%. It may be less. It may be like 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%. But every product, every everything which is there for the sale has service component of it, and that's why these characteristics are also equally applicable for the products. This view suggests that all types of organization may be able to gain valuable insight from service marketing frameworks, tools, and strategy. So every organization has to learn all these things that we are going to study in service marketing. Every organization has to study service marketing. Now, first is intangibility, because services are performances or actions or deeds rather than the objects. So they are intangible. So in the definition we have seen, services are the deeds, services are the performances, services are the actions, and they are not the objects. So they are intangible. Services cannot be seen, services cannot be felt, tested, or touched in the same manner that you can sense tangible goods. So like products or goods, we cannot see, feel, taste, or touch these services. For example, healthcare services are actions such as surgery, diagnosis, examination, and treatment. So in the healthcare services, you cannot see surgery, you cannot see diagnosis, you cannot see examination, you cannot see treatment performed by the doctors and directed towards patients and their families. These services cannot be seen or touched by the patient, although the patient may be able to see and touch certain tangible components like equipments and hospital rooms. So some part of the services are tangible. It's called service physical evidence. It's called physical evidence, and the large part of the services are not tangible. In fact, many services such as healthcare are difficult to grasp even mentally. So if you have done surgery, you cannot feel that the surgery has happened, because they give anesthesia, they make you unconscious before they make the surgery. Even after diagnosis or surgery has been completed, the patient may not be fully comprehend the service performed, although tangible evidence of the service, that is incision, bandaging, pain, may be apparent. So you can see incision, you can see bandaging, you can see the pain, but you cannot see that particular surgery. Resulting marketing implication: intangibility presents several marketing challenges. Many services cannot be inventoried due to capacity constraints, and therefore fluctuation in demand are often difficult to manage. So as services are intangible, they cannot be stored, and whenever there is a more demand, we cannot able to manage that. For example, there is a tremendous demand for a resort accommodation in Phoenix in February, but little demand in July. So if you see, if you see hotels, restaurants in particular hill station, in particular season there is a lot of crowd, and in particular season, in the off season, the customers may not be there. Yet, resort owners have the same number of rooms to sell year round. So, the hotels, they have same number of room, but in particular season they have lot of customers, and in off season they do not have customers. Services cannot be easily patented, and new service concept can therefore easily be copied by the competitors. So if you come up with a new type of services, you will not get patent for that particular service, and people can copy that particular service. Services cannot be easily displayed or easily communicated to customers, so quality may be difficult for consumers to access. Services cannot be easily displayed or easily communicated to the customers, so quality may be difficult for consumers to access. So like we products we can display, if you have gone to any mall or any shops, they display the new products in a shelf, in a cupboard. So it is not possible for the services to display the services, because services itself are intangible. Decision about what to do, what to include in advertising and other promotional matters are challenging, as is pricing. So how to communicate service, it is also a challenge. How to price the service, it is also a challenge, because whatever we are communicating, whatever we are deciding that particular price, people may not understand why the we are charging more, or what that advertisement mean, what actually we are going to get in that particular service, or people will not may not believe in that particular advertisement. Even if we prepare the best advertisement, people may not believe, because services are intangible. The actual cost of the unit of the service are hard to determine, and the price quality relationship is complex. Actual cost of unit of service are hard to determine, and the price quality relationship is complex. So whenever we go to the saloon, he may charge 100 rupees, 200 rupees. Some saloon may charge 100 rupees. Some saloons may charge 200 rupees. Some doctors may charge 100 rupees. Some doctors may charge 400 rupees. So we cannot differentiate between what type of service we have received and why we are paying more. Heterogeneity. Second characteristic is heterogeneity. No two services will be precisely alike. So even if the same service provider is providing services, two services are completely different. If suppose if I ask a particular singer to sing a song for two times, you may think that the first song is better than the second one, or the second song is better than the first one. If you go to if two patient goes to particular doctor, so they may not rate the same way. uh, 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 one first patient may give 7 out of 10, and the second patient may give 9 out of 10. So everybody has different perception about the services. Because services are performances frequently produced, consumed, and often co-created by the humans, no two services will be precisely alike. So no two services are same, that you might have observed also. If you have taken two journeys to Mumbai from Pune by the flight, so two journeys are totally different. Maybe the first journey may be slightly better than the second one, or journey may be slightly better than the first one. The employees delivering the service frequently are service in the customer's eyes. Employees delivering the service frequently are the service in the customer's eyes, and people may differ in in their performance from day to day, or from hour to hour. So it is the perception of the customer is the person who is delivering service is the service, and the performance of these people uh, differ. That's why we may think that services are different. So people cannot able to produce same kind of performance twice. That's why services are heterogeneous. Heterogeneity also results because no two customers are precisely alike. Each will have unique demands or experience the service in a unique way. So demand needs of the customers are also different. That's why also there is a you will see there is a heterogeneity in service. Because services are often co-produced and co-created with the customers, customer behavior will also introduce variability and uncertainties, resulting in heterogeneity of the outcomes. So suppose two patient goes to the doctor, and one person precisely describe what are the signs and symptoms, so doctor can able to give accurate medicine. And second patient, he may not able to tell the sign and symptoms, so doctor may be confused, and he may not able to give the right prescription. So again, the second example, the person, if he wants insurance, the person who there are two customers. The first customer is able to tell what exactly his requirement about the insurance. So the sales executive can able to tell him the right insurance policy for him. And the second person, he is clueless, he is confused. So that salesperson cannot able to give particular the accurate insurance policies for that particular customer. So it is the customer involvement is also equally important in service. Thus, the heterogeneity connected with the services is largely the result of human interaction between and among the employees and customers, and human behaviors, as well as all the vagaries that accompany them. So, involvement of the involvement of the people in the services are matters a lot. For example, tax consultant may provide a different service experience to two different customers on the same day, depending on their individual needs and personalities, and on whether the accountant is interviewing them when he or she is fresh in the morning or tired at the end of the long day of the meeting. So suppose two customers, they go to the customer who goes to the tax consultant in the morning. He may have the tax consultant may be energetic, enthusiastic, he may provide very good consultancy. but the person who is going at the end when the tax consultant is very tired, and that customer is also not able to tell exactly what he is requiring. So that may lead to giving poor service to that particular customers, resulting marketing implications. Because the services are heterogeneous across time, organization and people, ensuring consistent service quality is challenging. So standardization of the services are challenging because services are heterogeneous. Quality actually depends on many factors that cannot be fully controlled by the service supplier. So there are a lot of factors that influence the service delivery. That's why standardization and maintenance of the quality is difficult, such as the ability of the customer to articulate his or her needs. So customer cannot able to tell what he exactly requires, influence the quality of the service. Ability and willingness of the personnel to satisfy the needs. So ability and willingness of the employee or service provider will also impact the quality of the service. Presence or absence of other customers. So the word of mouth publicity also influence the quality of the service. The level of the demand for the service. So if there is more demand for that particular service, it also uh, uh, influence the quality of the service. Because of these complicating factors, the service manager cannot always know for sure that the service is being delivered in a manner consistent with what was originally planned and promoted. So, because of lot of factors, because of these complicating factors, the service manager cannot always know for sure that service is being delivered in a manner consistent with what was originally planned and promoted. So, what we originally plan and promote, that is communicate through advertisement, we are not sure that the same kind of service is going to be delivered, or it is delivering on day-to-day basis. Sometimes services are provided by the third party, further increasing the potential heterogeneity of the offering. So sometimes, suppose McDonald's is giving franchisee. So how that franchisor is providing services to the customer is not in control of the McDonald's manager. Simultaneous production and consumption. Whereas most goods are produced first and then sold and consumed, many services are sold first and then produced and consumed simultaneously. So, if you take the example of the automobile, maybe in the 2020 they might have manufactured a lot of cars, and they might have inventoried those cars, and they are selling in 2022. But it is not the case in the services. If you go to the saloon, when you ask for the haircut, immediately they'll perform the services. When you go to the hospital and if you ask for some services, immediately they will perform the services and you will have it, you will consume it. So services are consumed and produced simultaneously. For example, an automobile can be manufactured in Detroit, shipped to San Francisco, and sold 2 months later and consumed over a period of years. But services, it is not with the services. In restaurant, if you go, you have to make the order, and immediately they will produce, and immediately you have to consume. You cannot say that I'll consume after 2 days or 2 months. Yes, restaurant services cannot be provided until they have been sold, and dining experience is essentially produced and consumed at the same time. Frequently in service situations like the restaurant, this also means the customers are present while the service is being produced, and thus view and may even take part in the production process as co-producers and co-creators of the services. So sometimes there are customers who tell the restaurant owner that they want specific ingredients in that particular dish. So they may tell how that particular dish is to be produced. He may ask for some more spicy, or he may ask for the less spicy particular dish, and he may specifically mention some ingredients. Simultaneously also means that customers will frequently interact with each other during the service production. Customers will frequently interact with each other during the service production process, and thus may affect each other's experiences. So whenever you go to the hospital, there are a lot of patients. They may have a particular opinion about that particular doctor, so that may influence the perception of the quality of the services of the others. Generally, when you go to the government bank, there are a lot of people, they are cursing, criticizing government bank, so that also influence the quality of services of the government bank. For example, the strangers seated next to each other in airplane may well affect the nature of the service experience for each other. So while we are using that particular service, while we are about to consume that particular service, there are customers, and if they have good word of mouth publicity, then our perception about that particular services will be good. And if they have bad word of mouth publicity, then our perception or the quality of the that particular services will be less. That passengers understand this fact is clearly apparent in the way business travelers will often go to great lengths to be sure they are not seated next to the families with the small children. So whenever business people they are going through the airlines, they always book that business class, and they do not go with the general public or people. Another outcome of the simultaneous production and consumption is that service producers find themselves playing a role as a part of the product itself, as an essential ingredient in the service experience for the consumer. So many a times that service provider, that is a doctor or the in saloon, that person who is going to give you haircut, they are considered as a service. Another outcome of the simultaneous production and consumption is that service producers find themselves playing a role as a part of the product itself, or the service part of the service itself, and as an essential ingredient in the service experience for the consumer. So when we talk about the healthcare services, we talk about that particular doctor. Interestingly, with the advent of technology, many services can now be produced and consumed at a different points in time, resulting in fewer challenges related to these characteristics for some providers. Interestingly, with the advent of technology, many services can now be produced and consumed at different points in time, resulting in fewer challenges related to these characteristics for some providers. For example, development of online education allows asynchronous delivery of class lectures and information. Nowadays, because of the technology, it is possible to store the services. Like if you go to UN Academy, Udemy, Byju's, already there are some lectures, there are some classes which are stored in the as a videos. So those educational services we can store nowadays with the help of technology. Resulting marketing implication, because services often, although not always, are produced and consumed at the same time, mass production is difficult. So mass production of the services are difficult. The quality of the service and customer satisfaction will be highly dependent on what happens in real time, including actions of the employees, the interactions between employees and customers, interactions among the customers themselves. So what is happening in real time, what is happening at the time of uh, service provision, at the time of service delivery, will depend on the will depend the feedback or the perception of that particular service. That interaction may be between employee and customer or within two customers. Clearly, the real-time nature of the services also results in advantages in terms of opportunities to customize offerings for individual customers. Clearly, the real-time nature of the services also results in advantages in terms of opportunities to customize offering for the individual consumers. So some customer providers, some service providers, they take it as an advantage that at the time of service delivery, they can they can ensure that the good service is provided, quality service is provided. So real time nature can be used as an advantage also. Simultaneous production and consumption also means that it is not usually possible to gain significant economies of scale through centralization. So simultaneous production and consumption will be possible whenever there is a customer. So we have to go to the customer and provide the service. That's why centralization is not possible. We have to decentralize. Often operations need to be relatively decentralized so that the service can be delivered directly to the customer in convenient location. Although the growth of the technology delivered service is changing this requirement for many services. So decentralization is must. Often operations needed need to be relatively decentralized so that the service can be delivered directly to the customer in convenient location. Although the growth of the technology delivered services is changing this requirement for many services. So with the help of technology, we can centralize the thing, I gave the example of the education. In education industry, we can store the lectures, and it is possible, and it is doing, some of the companies they are doing, like Baiju and UN Academy, Udemy, even if you say that Coursera. So it is possible with the help of technology that we can centralize or store the services. Also, because of simultaneous production and consumption, the customer is involved in and observes the production process, and thus may affect positively or negatively the outcome of the service transaction. Also, because of simultaneous production and consumption, the customer is involved and in observes the production process, and thus may affect positively or negatively the outcome of the service transaction. So customer is present, customer is observing, customer is feeling, and simultaneously production and consumption is happening. So that interaction will decide the satisfaction and dissatisfaction. Now next is perishability. Perishability refers to the fact that services cannot be saved, stored, resold, or returned. So once you'll be given, if you go to the saloon and once the haircut is given, you cannot resell, resold it, you cannot return it. So services cannot be saved, like airline services. Tickets, even if the flight is empty, 50% of the flight tickets are not sold on suppose 20th of the January. We cannot resell it again. So reselling is not possible. Returning of that particular services is not possible. So suppose somebody has watched the movies, so we he cannot return that particular services. So saving, storing, reselling, and returning of the services are not possible. A seat on the airplane or in the restaurant, an hour of a lost time, or a space in shipping container cannot use or purchase, cannot be reclaimed and used or resold at a later time. So airline ticket, if the flight is 50% vacant, we cannot resell. If you spend some time at the restaurant, you cannot return that time. If you have taken the 1 hour of the lawyer, you cannot return that time. If there is a unused space in the container, in shipping container, uh, that we cannot return. So some services are bound to go waste, and we cannot use it later on. Perishability is in contrast to goods that can be stored in inventory. So unlike goods and products, we cannot store in inventory these services. We cannot resold another day, even cannot return if the consumer is unhappy. Would it not be nice if bad haircut could be returned or resold to another customer? So once the haircut is given, you cannot undo it. You cannot return it. Perishability makes this action an unlikely possibility for most services. So in most of the services, it is not possible to undo that particular services or return the services, return or resell or store the services. Resulting marketing implication. Primary issue that marketers face in relation to the service perishability is the inability to inventory. So we cannot store the services because of perishability. Demand forecasting and creating planning for capacity utilization are therefore important and challenging decision areas. So we have to uh, forecast the demand. The solution is we have to forecast the demand for that particular service, and we have to plan creatively. We have to use full capacity of our equipments and employees. The fact that services cannot typically be returned or resold also implies a need for strong recovery strategies when things go wrong. So sometimes if things go wrong, that time you can have damage control or recovery strategies that we are going to study in the next chapter. In the we have one we have few lectures on service recovery, how we can recover the services if they go wrong. For example, although the bad haircut cannot be returned, the hairdressers can and should have strategies for recovering the customer's goodwill and if and when such a problem occurs. So if there is a wrong haircut, then you can say sorry. You can take the less money, or you should not take the money for that if something goes wrong for that particular service. So this is the way you can control the damage. This is the way you can recover. These are the recovery strategies for the services. So this is all regarding characteristics of services. I hope you have understood this topic. So thank you so much.